What's up, guys? Gary here, back with another kind of design thought review section. Today we're going to be talking about Framer Web. Framer Web is, of course, the next iteration from the Framer team. They started with Framer Classic, as it's called now. Then they went to Framer X, which was a React Native focused iteration. And then now they're at Framer Web, which is, at least from what I've used it for, considerably different. So let's talk about it. First off, I've been pretty vocal about that I did not like Framer X, right? As a tool, it was nice, but it did not fit into my team's workflow at all. So we had to cut Framer essentially completely out. Framer Web now brings it back to where there might be a spot for Framer in my team's workflow. So let's talk about that. Framer Web is meant to compete with tools like Figma, Adobe XD, Sketch. I'd say Sketch a little bit less. So it kind of is a little bit of an awkward mix where Framer Web is really good at doing complex UI pretty simply for the interaction side, right? Being able to add a page control and swipe and the stacks and some of the things. So they've got some really nice touches. But as far as creating a screen from scratch, Sketch still has the edge. Mainly because of the robust, time that Sketch has been out and all the plugins and everything. But it's getting there. It's getting there. So it wasn't bad. I was able to create a prototype pretty simply and effectively. And I knew what I was doing, and everything kind of worked. It forces you to change a few things. So the first thing I had to shift when I was evaluating Framer Web, though, was my mentality of evaluating it against Framer Classic, which Framer Classic was where you could write your entire prototype in TypeScript, right, in code, and then go. Framer Web is not that in any way, shape, or form. It is completely now a canvas-based design tool. That's not necessarily a bad thing because it does make it really easy to prototype some of those complex interactions. So that's kudos to the Framer team for that. But when we're evaluating, we really have to look at, for me, does this fit into a workflow where it fills a gap that I have, or it does a specific thing better than one of the other tools we already use? And the answer is kind of. So it does a really nice job of the UI interactions. I could see us using it with, there's a Framer Tools app which lets you copy and paste from Sketch directly into Framer Web. And in my testing of it, it worked fairly well, right? There's some stuff you need to know when you're setting up your Sketch file so that it copies and pastes better into Framer Web. Of course, that's kind of standard anything you do, but it worked really well. One thing that I will say the Framer team did really well is their training for Framer Web. So they have where you can do a couple of different training tutorials and it pops up with a video, but the video will auto pause and minimize so that you can, in the canvas, do whatever they just showed, and then you hit the play button, the video pops back up and gives you another short snippet of work to do, which I thought was a really nice touch, and I hope more people adopt that because it was really effective from my just quick playing around with it, and it got me up to speed on the tool a lot quicker than necessarily if I'd just been doing it on my own. So kind of final thoughts on Framer Web. Is it going to replace your design tool if you're using Sketch or Figma or XD? And I believe the answer, at least for right now, is no. I think it's moving in that direction, which is really good to see. I think that it could augment a lot of workflows with how it does interaction. And I think that's kind of its strong suit at the moment, and they're building the rest of it out. I'm really excited to see where this goes more. I'm actually going to have my team do a full evaluation of it now based off my quick test, which is, that's kind of a cool step for me. It shows me that it has enough promise to invest my team's time into evaluating it further. So that way we'll do a collaborative evaluation and some of the other pieces that we normally do whenever we look at a new design tool. I think Framer Web, it shows me the direction of Framer as a company though, and that they're moving away from the idea of designers should write code, which is what they kind of start out as. And I know that probably isn't what their official company line was, but that's really how it came across in the market, right? It was Framer was the tool where you write code to quickly get a prototype. It's now moved to be less and less and less of that. To this point, it really does feel more like a direct competitor to a lot of the tools that are out there. I think the Framer team has an opportunity, if they keep pushing this, to move forward, especially if they keep their integration game strong, of letting you pull in files and things you've been working on from other places. I'm really curious to see what they do next with it. I'll be keeping an eye on FramerWeb a lot closer than I was on FramerX. So there you have you guys. That is my thought as a design practice lead on where FramerWeb kind of sits. So I think this is a positive step in the right direction for the Framer team. I'm curious to see if it can reach any kind of market adoption, and I'm curious to see what they keep adding to it as they go. With that, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.